Some people say this is the birthplace of NASCAR. From the beaches to the 2.5-mile super speedway, this is the place where legends are born.
Tail hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides.
There was a time when stock car racing was all about last lap passing.
Here they come. Waltrip trying to slingshot.
But the one move that everybody remembers is the slingshot.
Here he comes up to the inside at the line. It is Dale Yarborough. He's done it again.
A slingshot pass to win at Daytona.
It's Rick Crawford making a pass, and Crawford wins the Daytona 250.
It happens every time the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series goes to Daytona.
It's going to be Carl Edwards winning the Ford and Dodge Steelers 250.
This is the kind of racing that takes us all back. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, it's just the way things used to be.
You are driving into victory lane at the Daytona International Speedway.
The Great American Truck Race, live from Daytona.
The NASCAR 2006 season kicks off under the lights with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The biggest race of the year is just 18 minutes away. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. A sunny day today saw temperatures get into the mid-70s. Now the sun is set, and we have a gorgeous evening for racing. Temperature 66 degrees. A new season filled with new colors, new numbers, new faces, and familiar faces in different equipment. The first race of the season about to get underway. Now let's go trackside for our pre-race activities.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Daytona Beach Police Department presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Pastor Derek Jackson, first assistant pastor at Hope Fellowship Church in Daytona Beach, delivers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, thank you for this great American sport and this great nation in which we live. We pray now your blessings and safety upon each driver and each fan that has gathered for tonight's race. Be with us all and bless us. That is our prayer. Amen.
Please join me in welcoming Curb Records recording artist Blue County as they perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
A spectacular crowd on hand to watch the veterans, champions, race winners, future stars. They all have the spotlights on them tonight as we get the 2006 season underway at Daytona International Speedway. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears.
coming off of 4 and getting a run and him blocking me, and I just went to the outside of him, and then they had a huge crash. I just happened to be right at a light, and I seen the light come on, and then when I panned across, I seen smoke in the mirror, and I looked at him, and I was a fender ahead of him.
Jimmy Spencer wanting to celebrate, is celebrating.
He is celebrating. They think they've won the race, and I would think that too.
I'm telling you, he has not been declared the winner yet. NASCAR has not told us yet that Jimmy Spencer won this race.
I was pretty confident I won, and it actually took you guys to find it on tape, the perfect shot that just showed the light coming on and where I was at the time.
There's a yellow light coming on. I'm telling you, to me, that would be irrefutable proof that Bobby Hamilton would win this race.
Guess what? You're second today, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that. That's hard to believe.
This is drama.
That's exactly what this is. This is Daytona drama. It doesn't get any better.
Bobby Jr. left and went to his motorhome, and his mother-in-law said, I think he won that race. He said, did not. He finished second, and we was already in victory lane before he got back, so that's a pretty cool deal.
Bobby Hamilton, a part of an unbelievable finish a year ago in new colors, a new number, and new sponsor for Bobby Hamilton. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip. Now, Daytona means the adrenaline level has just gone up at least 25-fold for 25 races, but really an exciting night for the racers as we're about to kick off the 2006 season. But Bobby Hamilton employed a strategy a year ago that not many drivers will try to take on tonight.
Well, Rick, he had the perfect strategy for 2005. He started dead last, and he never even attempted to lead this race till the very end. You saw him take the lead just as the white flag was displayed, just past Jimmy Spencer in time to get the win. He's told me earlier, right after the driver's meeting, that he's absolutely going to do the same thing. And he has 3 teammates, so he knows he's not going to be left alone. The problem is, I think half the garage wants to go back there with him. And, Michael, this was probably the wildest race of 2005, hands down last year. Are we going to see another wild race? And how is Bobby Hamilton going to get from the back through all those wrecks to the front?
He barely made it last year. He just cleared it when they all crashed. Will we not crash tonight? I think we're going to crash. How often we're going to crash will depend on how closely these drivers listened at the drivers' meeting. Mike Helton explained to the guys that you can't be doing crazy things. We're not going to tolerate it. We'll put you on pit road. We might even park you if you try that stuff. So if these guys listen, we might only see a couple of crashes.
Well, we're sure that they're going to listen. Let's kick off the 2006 season and go down for tonight's command.
Please welcome tonight's Grand Marshal, Tom Stevens, Group Vice President, GM Powertrain, as he gives those most famous words in motorsports.
Are we ready to run the GM Flex Fuel 250? Well, let's do it. Drivers, start your engines.
The engines are fired up. We are moments away from the start of the 2006 season for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Familiar faces, new faces, rookies trying to make a name for themselves in the Truck Series. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series GM Flex Fuel 250 on Speed. The World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, kicks off the 2006 season for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Wow, this is a fun track to drive, Rick. You got 2.5 miles, high banks, a lot of speed, a lot of action. And you know, the tri-oval freaks you out. You come through there at 18 degrees. That's what California's banked in the turns. There's never a chance to get your breath here at Daytona, because on the backstretch, some dude behind you wants to buck draft on you.
As you can see, the race analysis, 36 trucks will start this race. 100 laps, 250 miles per, a little bit over $800,000. Pit window will be about 32 to 38 laps with these Craftsman trucks.
Boy, it'd be fun to see a green flag stop tonight.
We take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race. On the inside of row number 1, that is Mark Martin. His first career Truck Series pole. He's the 55th different pole winner in the Truck Series. Bill Lester starts on the outside of him. His best start at Daytona.
Keep an eye on that second row, Rick. Stacy Compton, teammate with John Wood. They may have to go back early because their trucks were so loose qualifying, but look for them to be around at the end.
There's some great drivers starting in the middle of the field. Look at Ted Musgrave right there, Phil. Last year's champion. Switched his team, closed down right after the banquet last year. And now he's in a brand new truck, teamed up with Topodine. A lot of people believe that combination, Topodine, Ted Musgrave, could win the championship this year.
Veterans, champions. We've got Mike Bliss, Ron Hornaday right behind Ted Musgrave. That's 3 champions in 2 rows.
Got last year's pole sitter, Kerry Earnhardt, on the inside of row number 11. A couple rookies back in row 12, Kyle Krisloff and Aaron Crocker.
NASCAR gave these rookies a little bit of extra practice down here, Phil. That's something we're going to see all year long, just trying to get them acclimated with the track so they don't make any mistakes early in the going.
Bobby Hamilton will start 26. He's the defending race winner. He started 36th a year ago.
Timothy Peters, one of his teammates, starts right behind him. Kevin Hamlin, and another one of Bobby Hamilton's trucks inside row number 15.
The final 3 rows, 16, 17, and 18. Terry Cook looking to get back to his winning ways of 2002.
Kelly Sutton slipped in by 1/100th of a second. One of the last trucks to go out, and she made her way into the field and will race tonight. She's a competitor that's here week in and week out. I think everybody felt good about seeing her in the race.
42 trucks attempted to qualify for this first race of the season. Those that failed to qualify, Chad McCumbee was the one that got knocked out by that just over 100th of a second from Kelly Sutton.
We have 4 trucks going to the rear. Eric Almirola changed engines. The other 3 trucks, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Chase Montgomery, and Craig Kinzer, all made unapproved changes after the impound.
It'll be pretty interesting to see if we see more people going to the front or going to the rear when they throw the green.
Mark Martin has the chance to win the Craftsman Win from the Pole Award. If he can win tonight's race from the pole position, he wins $2,000 for his team. If he doesn't win tonight, then another $2,000 will again be added to the prize money. There is $50,000 available to these teams this year if they have the opportunity to win from the pole. We'll ride along with a few different trucks. Starting off with Bobby Hamilton. Now again, Bobby Hamilton in the number 18 this year. He'll start in the 26th position.
There's a familiar driver for us, Dennis Setzer, but he's in an unfamiliar number. It's number 85 this year. He was number 46. Second in points the last 3 years.
Last year's champion, Ted Musgrave, riding along in a Toyota this year. He'll be starting 17th. Right in the middle of the storm. It'd be interesting to see which way he goes when they say go.
The 3 trucks that we've introduced so far, all former runners in this series, but all with different numbers. Now we have a familiar number with a familiar face, Mike Skinner in the number 5. He will start 5th. We go down for final thoughts with our people on the pits.
Well, Rick, I'm Ray Dunlap, and I'll start it out. I want to let you know that I think Daytona is the biggest race of the year and the most important race. You know, we've been racing here for 6 seasons, and in 5 of those, the eventual champion had a finish here of 12th or better, and I think that's what it's going to take this year. Now, Mike Bliss finished 33rd here in 2002 and went on to win the title, but this year the competition is so much better, I don't think you can do that. It's about 250 miles from here to Homestead, Florida. That's where we'll crown the champion in November. But if you're going to get there, first you got to finish 250 miles tonight here at Daytona. Krista?
Well, one of the drivers we haven't talked a whole lot about, Bill Lester. He led 38 total laps last year. 13 of those were here. But despite the view up front and what was his best Daytona qualifying effort, the night ended with his worst Daytona finish, 29th. Well, he's back up front again, this time on the front row, qualifying 2nd. Will the outcome be different? He's never finished in the top 15 here. In fact, he's never had a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. No better place to take the checkers than a place where he has Checkers, the sponsor that is, on board. Bob?
Eric Almirola grew up just an hour and a half from here. His grandfather was a great sprint car driver from the area. And as a kid, he thought of maybe one day racing at the high banks of Daytona. Well, now, after many years of late model stock car action, the 21-year-old has his dream come true here tonight at Daytona, running in the Craftsman Truck Series. But as Phil Parsons mentioned, he has a big challenge ahead of him. Engine problems in qualifying. That team was forced to change their engine, and now tonight he will start his dream shotgun on the field.
This is the first race of 25. Our so-called experts predicting what's going to take place after 25 races. I I think Jack Sprague is going to win the championship. Phil, you threw out Todd Bodine as your champion.
He was so hot at the end of the year. I think he's going to do it this year.
Michael, you chose David Rudiman. Ray and Krista and Bob, they were all thinking, let's throw a former champion in there, Mike Skinner, Ted Musgrave, or Skinner with Bob.
Hey, let's try to talk to Mark Martin right here before we get ready to go. Mark, it's Michael up in the speed booth. Just wondering some final thoughts. What are you thinking? You going to try to run off and lead these guys, or are you going to be in the middle of it all night?
I hope I'm in the middle of it all night. This is going to be a blast. I'm really excited about driving the Scott's 150 here. These guys have done a great job with this truck. And these are a bunch of tough drivers and tough trucks out here. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be learning a lot. I haven't drafted very much with these things, and they're a little bit different, Mikey. So I'm going to be going to school on these guys. They're going to be teaching me some lessons out here. I just want to have some fun here tonight.
Well, we can't wait to watch. There's been a whole bunch of talk about a mass exodus to the rear. Everybody falling back. I said, I can bet you one cat that won't be anywhere near the rear tonight, and that's Mark Martin. He'll be on the gas all night. Is that the strategy?
Yeah, if I wreck, I'm going to be trying to wreck in the front. You know, I'm going to be trying to be in the front, and if I get shuffled back, I'm going to do everything I can to get back toward the front.
Well, it's a good-looking ride you're in there, Mark. Good luck, and have a fun night.
Thanks, buddy.
Mark Martin leading the field to the green flag for the first time. This just his 4th career start in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He does have a win in this series, though, at North Wilkesboro.
You think he tuned into Speed last year and watched this race? How could he be so happy and optimistic and feeling so lucky? Most of them didn't make it through last year.
He's been excited to run this truck series since last year. He was going to do it full time this year, you know.
This is what it's all about. Rick?
Randy Kaiser takes the pace truck down pit road. It is a Ford and Toyota on the front row as they come to the green flag. We're underway with the 2006 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. Side by side, making their way into turn 1. 36 trucks. This will be the largest pack any of these drivers have seen since Homestead a year ago. There hasn't been 36 trucks on the track at one time in any practice or testing session.
We've got a Ford leading a whole bunch of Toyotas. We've got 4 Toyotas lined up right behind Mark Martin.
Wow, it's a beautiful sight. I never get used to seeing the spectacle of these trucks. You know, I've been watching cars down here ever since I was a kid. These trucks on this racetrack are just so cool looking under the lights.
David Rudiman, the 17th, jumped to the inside, made it 3 wide, put Todd Bodine to 30, right in the middle.
This is the big pack, Phil, right here at the front of the field. We're beginning to see some stragglers fall behind. These guys that are running 17th, 18th, 20 on the back, there's no way they could have gotten that far behind that quickly if it weren't their plan. The draft's just too strong. The trucks would suck them up there, but they purposely have fallen back.
Mike Skinner able to pull out in front. The outside line right now is the one making the move. We got 4 Toyotas, 5 Toyotas, nose to tail on the outside line.
Here comes Mark Martin and Scott's number 6 Ford back on the inside, trying to get back in front. He led the first lap. Will it be Mike Skinner across the start-finish line first for lap number 2? No. Mark Martin holding on to the top spot.
You've got half the pack up here, and you've got the other half of the pack working their way towards the back, towards the Bobby Hamilton pack. New sponsor on that truck, Conway Trucking.
Watch, Phil, as they come by, you got this huge pack. And if we could pan back, they're already a half a straightaway behind. These guys are battling out in the front. But watch, here's the big pack.
And nothing, and then nothing.
Okay, and then here's a little pack.
But that's not it.
No. There's one more pack.
That's a small group.
But you see, Rick, if these drivers say, well, you know, watch, this isn't the end of them here. Pan back, here come some more guys. If these guys say, well, we laid back and there wasn't a crash, you know why there's not going to be a crash? It's because they laid back. We split this field into 3 separate groups. More room for everybody to operate early in the going. What a smart move by these drivers. They did listen to help today.
Krista.
Stacy Compton in the 21. He qualified third. You see him, one of those trucks way in the back. Do not be alarmed. I talked to team director Fatback McSwain. That was part of their plan. They had to go to the back. They had to keep their trucks so loose in qualifying to make the race that they're got on the first stop. They're going to have to tighten them up. That's why he and his teammate, number 20, John Wood, are in the back.
Krista, you're exactly right. I talked to Stacy this morning, and he said my truck was so loose qualifying because we had to have it loose, just as you mentioned. He said, I almost spun out qualifying. I said, Stacy, that's okay. We'd have covered for you. We just said there's no way anybody can spin out qualifying. We just said you cut a tire down or something.
Well, the amazing thing, we've got a couple of veterans, John Wood, Stacy Compton, moving back to run together to try to stay out of any problems that might take place up front, which they have now lined up right behind Mike Skinner, who's leading Bill Lester, David Starr, Todd O'Dine, and Johnny Benson. A year ago, it looked as though the Toyotas were going to be dominant at the end of the season. And now, up front, the top 5, all Toyotas. Mike Skinner leads the field around Daytona. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by GM, a leader in flex fuel vehicles. Go to livegreengoyellow.com. By Craftsman, official tools of NASCAR, and Valvoline.
Rick, you see that? We caught a glimpse of a truck coming off pit road. Believe it or not, that's our defending race winner, Bobby Hamilton. Already has made an unscheduled pit stop.
It looked like maybe it was hot. Ray, do you figure out what happened down there?
That's exactly it, Michael. 275 degrees. Bobby Hamilton said we must have some debris on there. They came down pit road, pulled 2 pieces of tape off of the lower section, and that should help the water temperature for him. But he said we had to take that chance, get in here, and make sure we don't have a problem that's bigger than that with this truck.
Well, that's a good move for him. It's a defensive move. Plus, he just went 1 lap down. He's the only truck a lap down. That makes him eligible for what we're going to call this year
the Aaron's Lucky Dog.
The Aaron's Lucky Dog. Bobby Hamilton can get the Aaron's Lucky Dog, get right back in this thing, no problem.
You know, that may be a byproduct of Bobby Hamilton not really going out and practicing the draft. He didn't really get a good idea what kind of temperature he was going to see because he didn't go out and do any drafting the entire time in practice. He did it last month in testing, but sometimes you can't simulate the same weather conditions.
One truck on the move, our defending series champion, Ted Musgrave. We ride along with Ted now as he has Mike Bliss in his windshield.
These cats have made some solid decisions, Phil. This is how you book laps for 50 laps or so. There's no reason to wreck right now. There's hardly any way to lose a lap. Let me explain something to you. The last time by, our leader ran a 48.5-second lap. Aaron Crocker, all the way back in 26th position, ran a 48.8. 0.3 of a second is all she's off. They get those trucks lined up, and they're still kind of jogged around every which way. They get the trucks lined up that are behind this lead pack. They will never get lapped.
At 0.3 of a second lap, it'll take 150 laps, and this race is only 100 laps long. There's Stacy Compton, the 21 truck on pit road. Another unscheduled pit stop for one of our contenders. Christian, what's going on with Stacy?
Well, guys, we knew he was loose, but that's not the reason they're coming in. Another truck that is running hot. They're coming in. You see him pulling the tape off the front grille. A lot of the guys down here are overheating. They're taking the hood pins out. The hood is going to go up. No, it's not. They're on way.
This is a result. We heard Stacy talk. They did qualifying runs. They had to qualify on time. They just miscalculated how much tape they needed on the front of that thing. You saw the steam out of the engine while he was sitting on pit road.
Those were 2 teammates that were actually nervous during qualifying, Stacy Compton and John Wood, because both had to get in on time.
That last lap, the 23rd place driver, Dennis Setzer, had the fastest lap, 48.14. Look at Rick Crawford go for the lead.
Has the help. A little help from another Ford just behind him, Mark Martin. And I talked to Rick Crawford. He said that Mark Martin, when those two ran together, his truck ran the best.
Mark Martin, we were listening to his in-car radio during break there. He said, if somebody wants to pass, just tell them and I'll follow them. He was running 4th or 5th. He wanted to be out in front. Now he's pulled right up on the back of Rick Crawford as they race through the tri-oval.
We understand from NASCAR that the 21 truck will be black flagged for a penalty for probably leaving his pit maybe with some equipment. Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened. On the deck lid, you see a wrench or something that's floating around in the deck lid. Just fell off the truck, but unfortunately he left his pit with that. That's a wedge wrench, and he will be black flagged for a pass-through penalty.
They took advantage of while they were in pit road getting that thing cooled off to try to make a chassis adjustment to it to tighten it up a little bit, and unfortunately it's going to cost them another lap, meaning that Bobby Hamilton will still be the only guy in the position to get that Aaron's free dog, or what you call it?
Lucky dog.
Lucky dog.
Rick Crawford, a familiar view for him as he crosses the start-finish line out in front. He was a part of that dramatic finish back in 2003 when they were 3 wide going across the start-finish line. He claimed victory.
We've got 3 trucks lined up right now. Sometimes with cars, you may see those 3 trucks be able to drive off because the trucks behind them are running side by side. These trucks, Michael, punch such a big hole in the air that I'm not sure that anyone's going to be able to drive off from anybody.
No, it's
2 Fords out in front. Toyota, Chevy, and Toyota rounding out the top 5. 15 laps complete. Rick Crawford still out in front of the pack. Tomorrow, the final time. The Nextel Cup cars will be on the track before the Great American Race. That's final practice, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, live on Speed.
See Matt Craftsman pulling along that big group of trucks right there. Matt right now is being shown in the 8th position.
3 trucks pulling away from the rest of the pack. Rick Crawford, Mark Martin, and Bill Lester.
You know, before we went away to break, those 3 trucks had lined up, and everyone else was running side by side. The 3 lead trucks were running a half a second faster than all those trucks that were lined up. Then all of a sudden, Mike Skinner, Ted Musgrave, top out line, got back in line. Now they're running faster than that group. They'll be with them in just a moment.
Side-by-side racing continues around this 2.5-mile tri-oval.
While we were away at break, I love listening to these guys chatting on the radio. Mark Martin said, as he's going for the lead, he reported to his crew his truck was so loose, he was about to wreck everywhere on the track. So what's he going to do? Drive it out in front of the field, get more air on the nose of it. What's that do?
It's going to make it looser.
Make it looser yet. So I don't understand the strategy, but I know Mark likes leading, Ray.
Mikey, I'm telling you, that's all I'm hearing on the radio down here. Everybody on my end of the pit road is saying very, very loose. Not just a little bit. They're going to make some wholesale changes. Big down on the track bar moves and other things to try to tighten these trucks up. Coming off turn 4 is where I hear him complain about it the most. Entering the tri-oval, these trucks really, really loose.
Bill Lester trying to become the 4th different driver to lead here at Daytona, as we've only completed 17 laps. This will be lap 18. If Bill Lester's able to stay out front, he will join Mike Skinner, Rick Crawford, and Mark Martin as leaders of this race.
We've got 3 Toyotas lined up right now. Bill Lester, the 22, Mike Skinner in the 5, and Ted Musgrave in the 9, trying to drive away from the rest of the pack.
It's very difficult, I would imagine, to stay in line and try to pull away from somebody because you're so close to the front. You just love to get out there and lead a lap, get those 5 extra bonus points.
Yeah, but if your stuff is crazy loose, Rick, you just want to hold line. You just want to hold pat until you can get on pit road and get an adjustment. Handling is becoming an issue. We're only 18 laps into this deal, Phil. It's really going to be a handful by the time it's time to make a pit stop.
While we were at break, a few trucks made it down to pit road. Chris, I believe Eric Darnell came down pit road.
Rookie number 9. Yes, he did. Rookie number 99, Eric Darnell, did come in. Again, another truck overheating. Their water temperature was 250. They pulled some tape off the grill. It is working. It's gone down to 235 on their last check. To Bob.
Krista, one of the most bizarre things I have ever heard of. John Wood was forced to come down pit road. They didn't know why he was overheating. When he came down and stopped in the pit stall, they had a window tear off from another competitor stuck to the front grill. When he stopped in the pit stall, it fell off. He's gone back out in the track. But, Michael, that's the first I've ever heard of that one.
There's window tear-offs that fly around everywhere, Phil. You see that? I've heard of it happening before. Also, these guys have little shields, little tear-offs on their shields when it goes from daylight to dark. You see them things floating everywhere. Those things hit your truck just right. It can close off the entire lower part of your radiator.
These trucks take in so little air to cool these things. The radiators have gotten so good over the years. They take in so little air, and they want to take in as little as they can because that makes the truck way more aerodynamic. The least amount of tape you can put on these trucks, the faster they will go.
We've heard temperatures upwards of 275, 250. What's too hot?
265. You know, if I'm 250, I'm okay. I start getting in that 265, 270 range, I'm coming to pit road. Rick, last time by, the 30th place truck run as fast as the second place truck did. So these guys have employed a strategy to hang back, but yet they're able to run speeds that are going to keep them in the game until they make that first pit stop or until that first caution flies.
Yeah, they want to run the most amount of tape. They want to take in the littlest glue. We got a lead change. Mike Skinner, the 5 Toyota, going for the lead.
It's looking like they're taking turns right now. It looked like Bill Lester decided, you know what, I'm going to go up high here. I'm going to let you guys go by. I'll jump back in behind as you go by. Let's just take turns out front.
Don't you just love it when people work together? Isn't this great? Working together at 190 mile an hour.
Exactly. Mike Skinner going across the start-finish line. He's back out in front again. He has led 10 laps so far of this race, the most laps led.
Don't look now, Rick, but
I looked
Musgrave
away.
is not leading the race.
The 9 of Ted Musgrave jumps out front in that Team ASC Toyota. So Mike Skinner would love to start off the 2006 season as your winner, but he's in third right now behind Ted Musgrave, Mark Martin. Sunday, live from Daytona, catch the all-new NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. It's the only pre-race show that gives you inside secrets, expert access, and instant adrenaline. Get set for the Daytona 500 with NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. Sunday morning, 11 Eastern, only on Speed.
Hey, Rick, you ever heard of the calm before the storm?
Well, I'll tell you what. We haven't seen a lot of bumping so far in this race.
But we've seen a lot of side-by-side action. We've seen a lot, look here, we've seen a lot of guys complain about the way their trucks are handling. These things need a pit stop. They're about halfway through their fuel run right now, maybe 3/4 of the way through. But let me tell you what's going to happen. These guys in the back, these young cats that are saying, I'm going to be patient, owner, I promise. I'm not going to go up to the front until late in the going. As soon as that caution flies, it's going to look like a Texas oil rush. Or is that California? Whenever everybody wants to go to the same place at the same time, that's what's going to happen next.
Aaron Crocker came in for an unscheduled stop. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, the plan would be to come to pit road right around lap 36. They can go to 40 if they need to, but 36 is the number I'm hearing here. But Aaron Crocker came on lap 22. Why? Because she was running very hot. 265 was the temperature on the water for her truck. The only problem was, as all the rookies have a lot to learn when they come here, Aaron came to pit road.
One getting loose. Off 4.
Is there a problem on the track,
Michael? Problem on turn number 4.
Joey Miller.
That's Joey Miller in the number 12, curb records, number 12, Toyota. Oh, and he slaps the wall. That's just before the entrance to pit road. Caution comes out for the first time in Daytona.
Make contact on the right side, guys.
I thought Joey was going to be able to get that truck stopped before he got to the wall. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. See him on the outside. There's Aaron Crocker, the 98. Here comes the 99 of Eric Darnell around the outside.
Just sucked him around. Phil, we saw Eric Amarola do the same thing yesterday. And look, right here, he's got the gas wide open.
Trying to keep it off the racetrack. Now he needs to get on the brakes.
Right, he just tried to hook it around too long, and it just wound up hitting the wall. I don't know how much damage was done. It was a safer barrier. Pretty good shot to the wall, though. We saw cats bounce off the wall in Atlanta, though, and they just keep on going faster.
Just real time. Again, upwards of 185 miles an hour.
Just left her on the mat a little bit longer than he should have.
He did a great job keeping that truck from going back up the racetrack into the outside. Well, you see him right now, he nails the throttle to keep it going forward. See, the wheel's still spinning right now. Now he just locks up the brakes. Just a hair too late.
You know, we talked yesterday in practice when Almirola spun out. Sometimes you make a mistake and you get away from it, get away with it. Eric spun out, didn't hit a thing, was able to continue on. It'll be interesting to see if oh, wait a minute, we're showing I had to be quiet because I heard the word Aaron's.
Here's lucky dog, Eric Darnell.
How about that graphic?
You can get the free pass, the Aaron's lucky dog.
The 99 either means that's my car or that you can lease quality stuff for $99 a month.
Or that's Eric Darnell's number.
No, I think it's more about me.
It can be a little bit about you, but in this instance, it's Eric Darnell.
How fitting is it that the first Aaron's lucky dog drove number 99? Well, it was fake.
It was fake. And now it's over.
So
and Eric Darnell will be on the lead lap.
Now it's over, Mike, so be quiet.
Pace truck coming back out to pace this field for the first time in the 2006 season. 26 laps were completed. Bobby Hamilton Jr. coming in to have service done on his Dodge.
I think he can't. Bob, what's going on with Bobby?
Bobby Hamilton Jr. came down pit road early because that truck is overheating too. It's a chronic complaint by everybody almost here on pit road, but that truck overheating, and they needed to come in. They had some trash on the grill.
Trash. Look at that little bitty opening, Phil. I mean,
all of that
grill up there, they're only sucking in 3 or 4 inches worth of air. So if something gets on that, there's nowhere else for the air to go in.
The bad news for Bobby Jr. is he pitted before pit road was open, so he will have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line. There are a lot of cats right now. They're glad this caution flag came out.
Mark Martin, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, says this truck's going to wreck any lap. So that tells you how loose these trucks are right now. So they want to get them worked on, adjusted.
Here comes the field. They're making their way down pit road. Leading the field, the number 9 of Ted Musgrave in that Team ASE Toyota. Ray.
You know, this is really a good situation for these crews because they would like to see pit stops around lap 30 and around lap 60. That sets you up really nice. The guys for Mike Skinner go to work on his Tundra. The only thing they're going to do is put 4 tires on it. No chassis adjustment for Skinner. Krista?
Down here in the number 9 pit of Ted Musgrave with this new Germain Toyota team, they are making a slight air pressure adjustment. Ted is very happy with the truck. Obviously, he's up front, 4 tires in fuel. Ted Musgrave is off pit road. They had to stop a little bit for some traffic, but he is off and away.
Mike Bliss having problems out on the racetrack. His truck is aero loose, a 4-tire change, 1 round down on the track bar, having trouble getting out of his spot. He's trapped in by Matt Craftsman right now. The crew having to back him up. That's going to cost him, boys.
Tough break for Mike Bliss. Lost so much time having to back up, then didn't quite get him cleared, had to back up again.
How frustrating is that when you're ready to go, but you can't?
Well, a lot of times you bring that on yourself. You got to stop these things short, so you got an exit strategy. Mike got his in a little too deep, I guess, and couldn't get out.
Reason for our first caution coming out of turn number 4. Joey Miller gets down on the apron, turns it around, and slaps the inside wall. We'll be back with more racing action in Daytona. Next Friday night, it's race number 2 of the 2006 season from the 2-mile California Speedway. Now, something a little bit different. This race, we will have qualifying Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then it is the racetickets.com 200 presented on Speed by KFC. All the action live only on Speed, including qualifying.
It's going to be completely different, Michael, than it was here. There, you got to work on handling. You got to have a good engine, a lot of horsepower. It's not going to be here. Very little the driver can do qualifying at a place like Daytona.
But at California, it's a whole lot the driver can do when you go out there and try to run around wide open at that place.
On a relatively flat racetrack.
Well, this is when you're going to impress me if you're able to break off and let that field go again, Phil. We'll see if these guys have that discipline.
First restart of the night, Mike Skinner out in front. Todd Bodine, Mark Martin, Ted Musgrave, David Rudiman, your top 5 on the restart.
Good stop by Rudiman's boys. They got him up into the top 5. He's been running well all night. I don't know if y'all realize it or not, but Darrell Waltrip, my brother, he owns that truck. He's out of Franklin, Tennessee.
Were we supposed to respond to that?
You know, Eric Donnell back on the lead lap. He got the Aaron's lucky dog. It was a good heads-up move. His truck was overheating. There's no sense staying on the racetrack and melting that thing down. He got on the pit road, knew they were going to get lapped. They played it right, got the lucky dog back on the lead lap in contention.
And right now, John Wood is in line to get the next Aaron's lucky dog. Bobby Hamilton is behind Wood, so
that'll be a battle to see who will be able to get the lucky dog when the next caution flag comes out.
Those guys just flipped spots, Phil. Talking about a battle, they're already racing for it. Bobby Hamilton has now moved ahead of Wood. So Bobby's up in that lead draft right now. His cards were he was forced to play his cards a little bit differently this year. Falling the lap down early. Now he's got it raced. He's up in this lead pack. Got to get that lap back to be in contention.
He's got to get in front of that 20 truck. If John Wood fell to the back, Bobby may too. But he's got to get in front of that 20 truck. Right now, John Wood is back in front of Bobby.
They can't make up their mind. There's Hamilton.
Now, this is a situation where we've just completed 32 of 100 laps, so meaning Bobby Hamilton still has time if he's able to stay up with this lead pack. More than likely, we're going to see more than one caution, which will cycle him through to get him back onto the lead lap.
He would just as soon go ahead and get it over with and get that lucky dog, get back on the lead lap, and then maybe he can go back to his other strategy. But he's going to have to get in front of John Wood. Right now, he's losing a lot of ground to John. John's up very close to the front of that lead pack, about 5th or 6th back, and Bobby is way back to back. Is that Bobby on the inside? Bobby's having another problem, Michael.
Something wrong with that Fastenal number 18 Dodge of Bobby Hamilton as he goes to the inside of the yellow line, and the pack goes by him.
Maybe he's just falling back, Phil. You never know with Bobby. He might decide that John Wood is being too aggressive right now for him to mess with him. Going to let John go. And Bobby looks like to me he's just falling back to the end of the line. Going to give this free pass away to John Wood and wait for the next one for him to get his turn.
Yeah, he stayed on the racetrack. Got a good battle for the lead. There's Mike Skinner, the 5 truck. Todd O'Dine, the 30 truck. There's
our group of guys are in the line now.
That was Bobby Hamilton's radio. That was Danny Rollins telling Bobby where his group of guys were, where his teammates were. Timothy Peters and Kevin Hamlin and probably Bobby Jr. Let him know where they are.
Mike Skinner holding on to the top spot.
Got a couple of Toyotas pacing the field, and there's Mark Martin. He's been a mainstay in that front pack ever since we went green. Right. Looks like Skinner's loose, right? You say anything about that?
No, he hasn't said much since we had that pit stop. He's been pretty happy. But, you know, Michael, it's a little different strategy for Skinner this year. Last year, this team won 7 poles and led 864 laps, a lot more than anybody else. But they didn't get the finishes they wanted every week. Now, he and his crew chief, Jeff Hensley, said we're approaching 2006 a lot differently. We're not going to worry about poles. We're not even going to worry about leading laps. We're going to worry about finishing races. And that's what they've got to do to chase this championship. They know it. They've been out front a lot, and he's been out a good bit tonight.
32 trucks are still on the lead lap. The only ones off the lead lap: John Wood, Bobby Hamilton, Stacy Compton, and Aaron Crocker. Out front of this field, it is Mike Skinner leading at Daytona. Welcome back to the GM Flex Fuel 250. Mike Skinner continuing his leading ways. In 2005, he led the most laps of any driver, and now, so far, he has led the most laps in this race. Bob Dillner.
Dennis Setzer right now finishing second in points. Last year in the Craftsman Truck Series, kind of just chilling out right now. Dennis Setzer says, hey, let those boys battle up front. I am going to stay right where I am, just outside the top 10, and hang out. Right now, that truck, you can see it scoot up the racetrack a little bit, trying to go around the truck right there of Terry Cook. But right now, he is just a little bit tight. But he said at the end of the race, that's when I'm going to make my charge. Krista?
Guys, you see Bill Lester way back in the pack, at least considering where he started up on the front row. He's currently running 13th. It wasn't really a bad pit stop. He had started to drift back because of all sorts of problems. He was getting loose in the entrance of turns 1 and turn 3. They all had to take 2 rounds of wedge, and he couldn't find any clean air. His crew chief was telling him, Doug Walcott, telling him to get behind other trucks to look for some clean air. It wasn't a bad stop. He's trying now to work his way back up.
Bill was able to pass a few trucks. He was about 18th or 19th when we went away to commercial. Now he's all the way back up into the 13th position.
Still one of those drivers who have led here at Daytona tonight. Led 3 laps early on in this one.
Worked together with his teammate Mike Skinner. He took a bunch of Toyotas to the front early in the going, Rick. And he's still right in the middle of this lead, or right at the end of the lead draft at least. He hasn't lost the lead draft. Boston Reed came to pit road. Looked like did he take left side tires?
Looked like he took right side tires, I thought, and they've rolled the tires back across pit roll. Just right sides only, not sport tires. Still more than likely going to get him a lap down, but then he'll be in the battle with John Wood and Bobby Hamilton for the
lead change.
Lead change. Todd Bodine goes for the lead on the inside.
Great job, man.
Todd Bodine out in front. Ray Dunlap.
Just want to let you know about Boston Reed. He had to come to pit road because he had a flat right rear tire. He said he could feel it going down for about a half a lap, and that was lucky because he knew that vibration he had to go to pit road.
Heads up call by the driver. That thing goes flat on you out on the racetrack, you're spinning out. So getting that thing to pit road was a great call by Boston.
And this is his first ever Truck Series race. I think he ran about 10 Busch races over the last couple years, but a good heads up move by Boston Reed.
Boston Reed, one of 11 drivers making their first ever start at Daytona in his truck. Out in front of the field now.
Here comes another lead change, Ray.
Todd Bodine.
Rick,
gives away the top spot to Mark Martin. Now Mark Martin with Ted Musgrave just behind him.
You have all of the line. Everybody's helping you, Mark.
For those of you fans that recognize that voice, that's Bobby Hudson. Normally Carl Edwards spotter in the Nextel Cup Series and the Busch Series. He's spotting tonight for Mark Martin in this 6 Ford.
And for those of you that aren't from the North Carolina area, Heppen means he's assisting him.
Talks a lot like your brother, Michael. Mark Martin just in front of Ted Musgrave. Rick Crawford now holding on to the 3rd spot. So we have Ford, Toyota, Ford, your top 3.
Michael, Mark told us before the race that if he was going to wreck, it was going to try to be towards the front. He has managed to try to run up in the front this entire race. I don't know that he's been back beyond the top 5 this entire race.
The IROC race we saw on speed just before the truck race, he was running second when he got crashed. So that just must be his motto. It's okay if you get crashed. Oh, no,
look at that. Big Boston crash. Reed, Mike Bliss, Bill Lester. Craig Kinzer trying to negotiate his way through. He's able to get through. That was Mike Bliss.
He said,
all right, Mike.
Doesn't look like Mike's truck's all that bad.
Well, a lot of damage to the right side. You can see the right rear wheel pretty plainly.
Yeah, Bill Lester got quite a bit of damage in that accident also.
Mike's rolling again, so he'll try to get that thing to pit road. I wonder if Boston Reed leaving pit road had something to do with this, Phil. You know,
he came out in the middle of that pack for sure. Let's see if we can take a look back, Michael, on what happened. That's Mike Bliss on the inside, right beside of Jack Sprague. There's the 25. We just got a little bit loose. We've seen it happen. He got loose. And then when he tried to save it, drove down off the bank, came back up right in front of Boston Reed. Boston Reed had absolutely nowhere to go.
Not a place, Phil. What a great job by Craig Kinzer in the 47 truck. Did you see him just chill out and slide through that mess? Not get any damage to that truck?
Kyle Krislop doing the same thing in the number 15 just behind that 47 of Craig Kinzer.
He just got loose entering the corner when he came back up the racetrack right in front of Boston Reed.
Look at Kinzer. He bounces off the wall a little bit, but keeps his cool. Krislov came in a little hot, but was able to get her woe down and dive under these cats. Mike just got loose underneath that other truck. We've seen it happen. It's what happened to Eric yesterday in practice.
There's another view of it. Just got a little bit loose. The transition, sometimes when you drive down the corner, you start turning and you don't catch all the bank right away, and it looked like that transition from the straightaway to the corner is where he lost the back end of that truck.
Along with Dennis Setzer just behind this accident.
What an unfortunate incident for Boston Reed. He has a flat tire, he comes out, gets in line, and then gets crashed. No, nothing he did wrong, just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Here comes that Chevrolet driven by Mike Bliss, and an unfortunate outcome for this team. They were looking for sponsorship, not sure if they're going to be able to run the entire season. Here's a 2-time championship team. Not sure if they can run the complete season.
You see IWX on the hood. Steve Coulter, who used to own this team, jumped on board to help these fellas here at Daytona. Horrible break for Mike Bliss, Dave Fuge, and the entire Express Motorsports team. Bob, what's going on down there?
Well, they're assessing the damage right now, changing tires as if it were a regular pit stop. But they said, hey, Mike, bring it down pit road. Let's see how much damage this truck has, because remember last year, not many trucks actually finished this race, and they're trying to keep that in mind just in case they do run the full season. But right now, working on the right front, tearing off the fender there. They have the 200-mile-an-hour duct tape ready to go on there as well. But this truck is pretty banged up. Mike really didn't know what happened. He said, hey, guys, it just broke loose. Don't know whether a tire went down or what. But right now, those guys just trying to get that truck rolling once again out on the racetrack.
Mark Martin leading the field down pit road. Ray.
Mike Skinner was still a little bit loose out on the racetrack, so they're going to go down a half a pound of air pressure on that right rear. They were also worried about a good bit of debris out on the racetrack, so they said nice and smooth, just an easy pit stop, everything looking like it's going fine.
Here's Mark Martin. You see him getting 4 tires. Mike Beam told me that every time the caution came out after 10 laps, he was going to come in to make sure he had enough fuel. He's got 4 tires.
All the way out, all the way out.
Bobby Hudson to tell him. Bob?
Matt Craftsman down there on the pit road right now, making a 4-tire stop, but he's taking a long time. Trouble on the left rear. That's going to hurt him on pit road right now. That Menards truck very, very loose on the racetrack. He's losing a bunch of spots here, boys.
Everybody elected to take 4 tires, and Phil, that was only about 10 laps. Like you said, only about 10, 12 laps of green flag racing on those tires. So that's pretty amazing that the whole field elected to get tires that quickly.
Here's second caution of the night has come out. This is it, real time. Mike Bliss gets a little bit sideways, and then up into the wall he goes. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Erin Crocker making her way back out onto the racetrack. While she was on pit road, she had a problem.
She got ready to leave pit road. Her crew chief said go. Johnny Benson was coming in. He was about 2 or 3 pits in front of her. That's the crew chief's job for Erin Crocker, to tell her to watch the traffic coming on her right. Ray, what's going on down there? How much damage?
Well, Phil, there's no damage to the 23 other than cosmetic. It did not hit into where the wheel is. But here's the thing. Johnny Benson had pitted a lap and a half ago on lap 44 when the caution came out, but unfortunately they had a missing lug nut, so he had to come back down pit road, and that's why he put himself in that position, and that makes it even hurt just a little bit more.
There's the Aaron's lucky dog.
The 20, see there's a 20 in there now, Michael. Aaron's lucky dog. John Wood gets back on the lead lap.
He'll be a contender. That truck's fast. He ran right in the middle of them there while he was a lap down, so he'll start from the back. But getting that Aaron's lucky dog was a break he might be able to get into victory lane with. There's Johnny B. He's got run into the side.
Right.
Well, they just wanted to make sure there was no damage there to the left rear, but the spotter was pretty sure that it did not hit the tire, but they said we've got nothing to lose here by coming back in and checking it over. So Johnny Benson will head back to the racetrack. Now Erin Crocker also on pit road as they put another set of tires on for her. She has not been able to get a good handle on this truck, but Benson will go back out, and then he and Erin Crocker will be right beside each other once again.
Maybe they can work together a little better this time. You know, you talk about it, that being the crew chief's spot or the spotter's fault. You know, it's also the driver's responsibility, both Johnny's responsibility and Aaron's, to watch and time that. You know, if Johnny's coming in and he sees her start to roll, he can't just cut in his pit. He's got to think she's going to keep coming, and vice versa. There's mirrors in these trucks these days. You can see the world behind you. You got to be aware of what's going around you. I will agree that ultimately that situation falls on the crew chief or the spotter to help the driver out, but the driver also needs to be involved in that decision-making process too.
Yeah, that's one of the situations that maybe it was Erin Crocker's crew chief's job to alert her, but maybe Johnny was in a position where he could have prevented it. Maybe they caused it, but he might could have prevented it had he been aware maybe that she was coming up on the left side, coming out of the pit.
That was a series of unfortunate events that culminated in a crash on pit road, which we never like to see, but fortunately no one was injured.
Reason for this caution coming out, we had the problem in turn number 2. Mike Bliss, Bill Lester, Craig Kinzer, and Boston Reed all involved. That took place on lap 43. And now it's Rick Crawford out in front of Mark Martin. Those two trucks have worked very well together in the draft. Rick Crawford leads them to the green flag.
That's the 21 on the inside, Stacy Compton. He's 2 laps down. Right now, Bobby Hamilton and Mike Bliss are the only 2 trucks that are 1 lap down. Mike Bliss, obviously, a lot of damage from that accident. So Bobby Hamilton Sr. in very, very good position to possibly get the Aaron's lucky dog if the caution comes back out.
Falling in line, the first 6, and then jumping out of line just behind them, the 17, David Ruderman.
I think Mark Martin likes to lead this race.
I think you're right.
Mark Martin back out in front in the Scott's number 6 Ford.
We've seen the Fords and the Toyotas. Here comes the Toyota around a Ford. We've seen those guys right at the front the whole race.
We saw Mark Martin with a lead. We saw what a run Mike Skinner. Those Toyotas lined up on the inside. They had such a run, such momentum that they drove by Mark Martin, and now he's ended up in the 5th, and he's in the middle of a 3-wide battle. He's dropping more spots.
Mark Martin getting shuffled back. We're hearing from NASCAR that the 22 of Bill Lester and the 25 of Boston Reed were checked out in the infield care center and released.
You know, if you're Boston Reed or you're Bill Lester, getting wrecked at Daytona is one thing, but when they're just unavoidable accidents, they were minding their own business, a guy just crashes in front of them and they don't have anywhere to go. That'll set you back a day or 2. You'll go home and think, why did I have to get involved? I did nothing wrong, and I tore my truck all to pieces.
3 wide as they come through the tri-oval. Mark Martin on the inside of Stacy Compton. Martin in the 6, Stacy Compton in the 21.
The 60 truck of Jack Sprague right behind Stacy Compton. Ron Hornaday's just in front of that group right there. We haven't talked about Ron much. He's in the 33 truck. We saw him in the 6 truck last year. Now he's in the 33 for Kevin Harvick.
That 6th place position for Hornaday, I think in the last 35 laps, 40 laps, that's the highest we've seen a Chevrolet or a Dodge. It's been all Toyota and all Ford tonight here at Daytona.
Now a couple of Fords line up on the outside. Mark Martin the 6, Stacy Compton in the 21, and they're going to try to drive by that 33 of Ron Hornaday.
Just behind Ron Hornaday, we talked a little bit earlier about the different colors, the different numbers. That's the 85 of Dennis Setzer. Again, a number change for Dennis Setzer from the 46 to the 85 this year.
And a lot different color change from that black Chevy Silverado he had last year. That's the Flex Fuel Chevrolet right there. Dennis Setzer, we're on board for a moment.
Setzer currently in 8th position.
We got a little 4-truck breakaway at the front, and then Phil, this is the 2nd pack from 5th on back, and it's a mess. They're all over each other.
How about that 77 truck on the outside, the Orleans Dodge of Brendan Gaughan, trying to get back to 2003 form. What a great season he had. He won 6 races, came oh so close to winning the championship. I don't know that there's anybody any more positive about this season than Brendan Gaughan.
We've seen the Orleans, the sponsor on that truck, for many years as Brendan Gaughan has been in this series, as well as Steve Park driving it 2 years back. Also on board with them, Daytona Dodge for this race. Brendan Gaughan welcoming them on as a associate sponsor for this race. Brendan Gaughan so close to a championship back in 2003, all the way to the last race in Homestead, and on lap 100 his dreams out the window. And now he gets shuffled back as an extremely good drafter. Mike Wallace in the number 59 goes by him, but he gets in line just behind Mike. Mike Skinner's led the most laps at Daytona thus far. 27 laps for Mike Skinner out in front. Rick Crawford's led 8. Mark Martin 7, as well as Ted Musgrave. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series first event of the season, the GM Flex Fuel 250. While we were away, Mike Skinner able to hold on to the top spot. Ray Dunlap.
Hey, Rick, 10 laps ago when there was pit stops, Rick Crawford went out as the leader. That's because he put right side tires only. We went to green, he was the leader. Right now, guess what? He's dropped back to 8th. Now, Rick says the truck is still pretty good, but the only problem is it won't run on the high side. He's got to keep that truck glued right to the bottom. Krista, what's Jack Sprague saying?
Jack Sprague was saying bad loose. That's how his truck started this race. On their first stop, they put the track bar down 2 rounds, made an air pressure adjustment in the right front. On this last stop and air pressure adjustment in the right rear. It is working. He says his truck is getting much better. He's running 6th right now. Hard to believe Jack Sprague's best finish at Daytona, 12th. Bobby D.
John Wood was lucky because he got the lucky dog and got his lap back, running 24th right now. But he is unlucky because on that last restart, he lost 3rd gear. So he'll be A-OK if this continues green, but on restart, it could spell trouble for John Wood.
Phil, remember when I talked about the quiet before the storm? Look what's gathered up at the front here. Remember that nice little 3 or 4 truck breakaway with 20 or so guys, nose to tail? We're not.
It's not like that anymore.
It's not. We're not there any longer.
Well, we're over halfway with this one as 56 laps have been completed. Mark Martin now out in front of the field. Jack Sprague in 2nd. Mike Skinner has dropped back to 3rd. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by GM, a leader in flex fuel vehicles. Go to livegreengoyellow.com. Mark Martin still our leader.
These guys have sorted it out a little bit, Rick. We got 6 or 7 cats there in a line, and then it's 2 by 2. When we went to break there. Oh, now we're 3 by 3, or no, we worked it out. When we went to break, they were all over one another. It's kind of broken away a little bit now, so a little tense there for a while.
We still have at least 20 trucks in this lead draft. We've seen 3 truck drafts, 3 truck lead drafts. We've seen 5, 6. Now we've got about 20. We're 60 laps into this race. We've only got 40 laps to go. So these drivers, I think half the field that wanted to stay in the back, well, half of that bunch is up in the lead draft now.
They've changed their mind.
Krista.
Guys, Mark Martin back to the lead, a place he's very familiar with in this truck here at Daytona. Kind of a funny moment before that caution came out on lap 44 and he had to stop. He was deciding what to do with tires. He said, guys, I don't want to run out of tires. I don't know if we should change them. His crew chief Mike Beam said, well, if we're stopping, we're either taking fuel and no tires or fuel and 4. Mark, it's your call. He said, man, I don't know. I'm not used to having to save these things. I just don't want to run out. Well, Mark made the call. They took 4 tires, and now he's leading. Bob?
How about this for a rocket ship? Mike Wallace from 19th to 2nd in 11 laps. That's all it took him. He said, guys, as long as I could stay with that lead draft and they don't hang me out to dry, we got a truck that can win this race.
Hey, Todd Bodine is in 3rd right now, and guys, he may be getting ready to put his name into the record book in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Remember, he was the hottest driver in the series at the end of the year, winning 3 races in a row. No driver has ever won 4 consecutive races in this series. Todd Bodine believes he has the truck to do it tonight at Daytona.
You know, guys, Bob was talking about it. Mike Wallace does such a good job. He won the first race here back in 2000. He finished 3rd here in Ken Schrader's truck a few years ago. Always runs extremely well here. Anytime he's got any kind of equipment, he's going to get the most out of it. He got James Finch's car in the Cup race in the Daytona 500, and he's doing a great job with Jim Harris's Melling Engine Parts Dodge.
Back in the pack, we see 2 by 2 racing. Kyle Krisiloff, one of those rookies, contending for Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He's driving a Dytek number 15. That's a Billy Ballou truck. Kyle Busch drove that to 2 victories a year ago. Matt Crafton on the outside. Eric Darnell in that number 99 just outside of Kyle Krisiloff. Another one of the contenders for Rookie of the Year. Mark Martin out in front of this field. It's a veteran top 5. Welcome back to Daytona Beach, Florida for the GM Flex Fuel 250, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, starting off their season at the Daytona International Speedway. The only post-race show in Victory Lane is NASCAR Victory Lane, live Sunday 8 Eastern. John, Jimmy, and Kenny break down the day's race from every possible angle, from the checkers to the records. All of the highlights will be covered. NASCAR Victory Lane live Sunday 8 Eastern only on Speed. Looking back from Bobby Hamilton's Fastenal number 18 Dodge.
Bobby's still in position to get the lucky dog. If the caution were to come out right now, he would be the one that would get it. He desperately needs the caution to come out. We've only have 33 laps to go, so he needs to get that caution flag, get back on the lead lap, and try to get back in contention.
Yeah, and they're closing in on Craig Kinzer and Johnny Benson, a couple of trucks that lost the draft. Johnny had some trouble in pit road. Craig was involved in the crash. They're just a couple of seconds ahead of these leaders, Phil. As soon as the leaders pass those trucks, then they become the lucky dogs from Aaron. So Bobby's in a little bit of a pickle here. He needs to get a caution right away to get back in this race.
Mark Martin still holding off Todd Bodine, Ted Musgrave, David Rudiman, Jack Sprague. They're your top 5, and they have broke away from the rest of the field so far. We see Todd Bodine moving around quite a bit behind Mark Martin.
Looked like Todd wanted to make a move to the inside. Mark did not want to give up the lead. Looked like he pulled over to block. Remember, the 30 of Todd Bodine, the 9 of Ted Musgrave are teammates. You've got another Toyota, actually 2 other Toyotas behind them, the 17 of David Rudiman and the 60 of Jack Sprague. But don't underestimate what teammates may be able to do here when we get towards the end of the race.
Phil, these trucks have run almost 20 laps under green now, and that's when a truck really starts to, the handling starts to deteriorate. So that's why you're seeing the truck string out now. It's not because they've chosen to, it's because some guys in the front can hold the mat, hold the gas right on the floor. Other guys are struggling in doing that.
I've seen a lot of the trucks moving around quite a bit. The one truck that has really held his line the best seems to be the 17 of David Rudiman. He has been staying in line, not moving around a lot, just really holding his own position.
You're doing a great job. Remember, these trucks will have to make another pit stop. They can only go roughly 35 laps. They last pitted on lap number 43, so about 78 to 80 laps we're going to see most of the field on pit road if we don't get a caution before that.
Exactly what Bobby Hamilton did not want to see. Our leaders have gone by the 23 of Johnny Benson and the 47 of Craig Kinzer. That means Bobby Hamilton is no longer eligible for the Aaron's Lucky Dog. Bob Dillner.
Well, Kelly Sutton having a great run here today. She's been in the top 15 pretty much all night. You know, this is a very special night, not only on the track for Kelly, but also off the track. Her daughter, Ashley, is here in the grandstands, and she is celebrating her 16th birthday. And Kelly will love to give her a birthday gift here today with a nice top 10 run for Kelly Sutton.
She's doing a terrific job, Bob. She's running with some great trucks. She was running with Matt Craftsman and Brendan Gaughan. Made probably her best race of her career.
And you know, Phil, she's only in this race by 100th of a second. That just tells you how cruel fate can be sometimes. She just barely slips into the race, has her best race ever. 1/10 of a second the other way.
She's home.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
So riding along, a rough ride for Ted Musgrave and that Team ASE Toyota. Out in front, it's Mark Martin. There's Ashley. It's Ashley Sutton watching Mom go around this 2.5-mile trioval. Caution has come out here at Daytona. This is our 3rd caution of the night. This is just one of the trucks involved in a big crash. It didn't start out that big. Craig Kinzer looked as though he was just getting up against the wall, but we see Eric Almirola in the 75 stopped in the infield right now. A lot of damage to that truck.
This was an aftermath of it looked like Craig Kinzer blew a tire. We could only make it about 30 laps in our cup cars before tires would go away. It was getting into that zone. It looked like Almirola lost the right front tire and was up against the wall. I guess truck slowing down in wake of that all got together. Let's see if we can catch some video here. There's Almirola.
Cuts down the right front tire.
I'm sorry.
Craig Kinzer.
Kinzer, I'm sorry.
47.
How did this happen?
There's
Wow.
Mike Wallace. Remember, we saw him running in the top 3 positions. There's the 15 of Kyle Krisaloff.
He gets out without too much damage. I just don't understand. What? Oh, Joey Miller, bad crash. Look at the front of that truck, Phil.
Matt Craftsman gets caught up by Brad Keselowski. You see the 75 of Eric Almirola go by already with some damage.
Take another look at this accident.
Oh, wow. Something happened to Mike Wallace, and he was slowing down.
No, that was in reaction to what had happened to the 47 truck.
Because of the 47.
Let's go to pit road.
Wow. The 75 track.
Right.
Todd Bodine was in here, guys, and he was a little bit wanting a chassis adjustment, so what they decided to do was put a ½ pound in the right rear. That'll help tighten him up just a little bit for the 30 truck. Krista?
6 is in. Mark Martin, our leader. They added a pound to the left side. Mark Martin was telling the guys behind him, stay in line. The crew went scrambling to talk to the other crews. Mark Martin wants these guys to stay behind him in line. They are off and away.
Dennis Setzer down and out, 4 tires, no adjustments for Dennis Setzer. He says that truck is very good. He's still just biding his time for the end of the race. That's the final stop, most likely, for Dennis Setzer here tonight.
We've completed 74 laps thus far. Mark Martin, our most recent leader. We're riding along with Dennis Setzer right now in the E85. Take another look at the aftermath of what took place. The 47 of Craig Kinzer already into the wall. They're slowing down, and that's Eric Almirola for an unbelievable ride into the wall in turn number 3. We'll be back with more from Daytona. Cleanup continuing from our 3rd caution of the night as the jet dryers have come on to blow the damage and the debris. Again, this is Craig Kinzer in front of the accident. The sparks flying as he's bumping up against the wall.
And then it got crazy back here. It looked like Mike Wallace either had a problem, Phil, or most likely just reacted to this crash. I can't really tell.
We'll get another view of it, and we'll see Mike Wallace. He was so slow, it made you think that maybe he had some sort of a problem, or maybe he just saw the 47 of Craig Kinzer get into the outside wall, and he reacted to that. But let's see if we can take a look at the contact. Watch this real time. You see how slow Mike's going right there. Watch.
And Almirola tries to dive underneath Matt Craftsman. Matt had slowed down too, so I think it appears that they were slowing down, maybe didn't get the word in time, and guys were just on different agendas. One guy trying to race, another guy slowing down for a crash, but darn, there was some big speed discrepancies there.
Sure
7 trucks involved in this one. Joey Miller in the number 12, Kyle Krisiloff, Brad Keselowski, Craig Kinzer, Mike Wallace, Eric Almirola, and Matt Crafton. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to Johnny Benson in the number 23. So Johnny Benson back on the lead lap here in Daytona.
Here he comes up to the inside at the line. It is Dale Yarborough. He's done it again.
A slingshot pass to win at Daytona.
It's Rick Crawford making the pass, and Crawford wins the Daytona 250.
It happens every time the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series goes to Daytona.
It's going to be Carl Edwards winning the Florida Dodge Dealers 250.
This is the kind of racing that takes us all back. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, it's just the way things used to be.
You are driving to the victory lane at the Daytona International Speedway.
The Great American Truck Race.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip on pit road. Ray Dunlap, Chris Devoda, Bob Dillner. We come to the green flag. We're back underway with racing. 78 laps in the books, 22 to go.
Business is fixing to pick up, boys. These guys are all inside of the window now where they can't really afford to lay back anymore. It's time to get business done.
They all have enough fuel. We should not see any more pit stops unless they elect to get fresh tires towards the end of the race. They all have enough fuel to get to the end.
Thus far, 8 different drivers have been out in front. 17 lead changes in this race up to this point.
It's just been a very entertaining race. I'm always sitting on the edge of my seat at a Craftsman Truck Series race because you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know who's got the best truck because they can swap leads, so they can take the lead from one another easily, it seems.
One thing we know, the 3 trucks up front, Todd Bodine, Mark Martin, Ted Musgrave, have been up front this entire race. David Ruderman is another truck that's had a strong race. He's 4th. Jack Sprague looks to the outside of David Ruderman, trying to take over the 4th position. Going to bring Mike Skinner with him.
Side by side, Skinner behind Jack Sprague. 2 veterans, 2 series champions, now moving toward the front of the pack.
We saw Ted Musgrave move up the hill. That kind of blocked Jack Sprague from driving to the outside of him. Now he remains in the third position. Look at him side by side behind him.
Michael, you mentioned it's going to start getting a little bit hairy. They're getting a lot closer to each other than they have been all race.
And they're going to have to fight the urge to bump draft. They're going to have to fight to keep from running into the truck ahead of them to try to help themselves. That's going to get tougher and tougher as each lap goes by. This is what the race is going to look like for the next 20 laps. Bumper to bumper and side to side.
Krista.
Yeah, guys, talking about David and addressing the fact that he was down on power. He kept talking about the truck laying down. Darrell Waltrip told him, don't worry about the motor. David told him in traffic, it's okay. They talked about taking 2 tires on that last stop, but they decided for 4. David Rudiman running strong here at Daytona tonight. His best finish coming into this was 9th.
What an incredible run the 5 of Mike Skinner got. Now he's going to push Mark Martin to the lead around Todd Bodine. He came out of nowhere in the tri-oval. I couldn't believe what a run he had off the tri-oval and just drove by some guys and pushed Mark Martin to the lead.
That win, that draft will make you scratch your head, Phil. You'll get a run on people and go by them like they're standing still, and you'll think, now, my truck's not capable of doing that. How did that happen?
Look at Brendan Gaughan on the outside going around Ted Musgrave. He likes the outside line.
3 wide as they go into turn number 1. Mark Martin out in front of this field. He's led 28 laps. Mike Skinner, who's just behind him, has led 30 laps so far.
Those have been the 2 trucks that have dominated this race. Todd Bodine in third. He's another truck that's been right up front this entire race. Mike Skinner going for the lead.
Here goes Mike Skinner. Todd Bodine right behind him. It's 3 Toyotas.
A Chevy and just closed in underneath the Ford, bringing another Toyota along. Phil, no more 2 packs. They're all together.
Ray Dunlap.
Hey guys, when you look back at the record book, the average number of lead changes in this race is 24. We've seen some great racing tonight. Guess what? Already 19 lead changes. We may beat the average tonight the way it looks up front with these guys swipping and swapping.
We will beat the record tonight. These guys aren't anywhere near done figuring out who deserves to lead and who doesn't. They're going to snip and snipe more.
Look how far Mark Martin has fallen back. He's down right beside his teammate of Eric Darnell. He's back in about the 9th position, 8th, 9th position.
Oh, look at them. They're wanting to bump draft. They're getting jiggy.
Jack Sprague right behind Todd Bodine. Those are your top 3. Mike Skinner, Todd Bodine, Jack Sprague, Ron Hornaday, David Rudiman. Your top 5 as we close in on almost 15 laps of racing to go. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing for the GM Flex Fuel 250. When the video game isn't going the way you want it to, you press the reset button. It looks like we've reset this field. They're running side by side as they go across the start-finish line.
Ron Hornaday to pit road.
And look who's in the lead. Eric Darnell, rookie, winner of the Roush Driver X program.
What happened to Hornaday, Bob?
Heartbreaker for Ron Hornaday. He was out there running 3rd, felt a bad vibration, and he's going to have to come down because they think they have a wheel loose. It will be a 4-tire stop. They figured might as well change those 4 tires because they don't know which one is loose. But oh, just a tough break for Ron Hornaday here down on pit road.
We got Roush trucks running 1-2. Eric Darnell, the 99 leading. Mark Martin, the 6th, up in the 2nd. Remember how far back Mark was a few laps ago? Well, he's in 2nd right now. Now he's in the lead.
Mark Martin taking the point again. Rick Crawford right behind him, and they're 3 wide as they go through the tri-oval. On the high side, Stacy Compton in the 21, moving toward the front.
What a push Todd Bodine in the 30 truck gave him. Remember, Stacy is 2 laps down. There's Ron Hornaday on the inside of the racetrack coming back up to speed from his unscheduled pit stop.
Rudiman looked to the inside of Todd Bodine off 2 there. Couldn't make it work. Gets back in line. Wow, look at him starting to wiggle. You could see Stacy Compton's getting a push from Todd Bodine. Got him a little bit jiggy on the back straightaway. That's not good. That's not a recipe for something you'd want to eat.
Terry Cook, Power Stroke Diesel number 10 Ford, going just onto the yellow line as they enter turns 3 and 4. As the field comes to the start-finish line, it's Mark Martin again out in front of the field. Rick Crawford holding on to 2nd. Rookie Eric Darnell in 3rd. Jack Sprague and Todd Bodine round out our top 5. We'll be back with more exciting racing from Daytona. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is presented by GM, a leader in flex fuel vehicles. Go to livegreengoyellow.com. And by Valvoline, tested on the track, trusted on the road. Inside of 10 laps remaining, it's Mark Martin holding on to the top spot. Todd Bodine and Jack Sprague, the three trucks that have pulled away from the pack just a little bit. Krista.
Talking about our leader, Mark Martin, you saw a few laps ago he had slid back. That was strategy. He was trying to obviously hook up with his teammate Eric Darnell. But Mark just got on the radio and said, guys, I can't push him. I have to think about winning this. Mark Martin has never won a race at Daytona in a truck because this is his first time he's been in Daytona in a truck. Guys?
Mark Martin's never won a race at Daytona. He's been in 52 Cup and Busch races. His best finish ever, third in both of those. Ray.
Hey guys, look at that pack right behind him. The two Toyotas are about to team up, and I think Mark Martin's going to be in big trouble. Why? Because he's a Cup regular, and these two guys are about ready to get together. We're going to see Sprague come up and push Todd Bodine with about 3 laps to go as their plan. The two Toyotas hoping to plan to get around that Ford. Bob?
Bobby Hamilton Jr. looking for some friends right now. He says nobody really wants to draft with him and go to the front. He's been running in the top 10 after that overheating problem early on, but he just radioed into the crew and said, hey, I have a really bad vibration on the right front, so if I can't find out what's going on here, I may have to just nurse her home, boys.
The 9 truck of Ted Musgrave, the 99 of Eric Darnell, the 14 of Rick Crawford are trying to line up to catch the 3 trucks up front. Mark Martin, Todd Bodine, and Jack Sprague. Now David Ruderman posted to the inside of Rick Crawford.
Bobby Jr. making his presence known late in the going here.
Bobby Jr. in the 08, David Ruderman in the 17. It's the 3 trucks out in front, though, staying nose to tail. Mark Martin, and that's Scott's number 6 Ford, just in front of Todd Bodine and Jack Sprague. It's only a matter of time before the 2 Toyotas hook up and try to get by the Ford.
That was the 8 of Chase Montgomery. Went through the dirt, going down just past the tire, but was able to maintain control back up on the racetrack. Ted Musgrave has joined the 3 trucks out front now. The 9 truck of Ted Musgrave. Look, Rick Crawford's in the middle in the 14 truck, losing positions left and right.
Going the wrong way. Rick Crawford won this race back in 2003. Now, quite a ways back. He would really have to make a hard charge with only 5 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line this time.
Work with me. I need a little room.
The 77 of Brendan Gaughan got real loose up against the wall. Look at Rick Crawford dive to the inside in the 14 truck. Put Terry Cook, the 10 truck, in the middle.
Whose name will be added to the list of winners at Daytona. It started off with Mike Wallace. He's in this field. Then it was Rick Crawford winning in 2003. Also in this field, Bobby Hamilton, our most recent winner in 2005. Can Mark Martin throw his name onto this list this year?
All the drivers in the top 5 right now are not on that list.
Wow. I love watching trucks race on speed, but
More to go.
Man, you got to come to Daytona and see these things live in person one day. If you're sitting at home, you ain't been to Daytona before, this is what it's all about.
4 laps of racing to go at Daytona.
For Todd Bodine, the 30 truck, the 60 truck of Jack Sprague. Are they planning? Are their crew chiefs getting together to formulate a plan to try to get by that Ford of Mark Martin?
5 trucks have broken away. Mike Skinner looked to the inside but got back in line. Now we see Jack Sprague trying to make the move on the low side. Sprague trying to take over second for Todd Bodine.
See if Ted Musgrave can go with him. Oh, no. He's getting sideways.
There goes Jack Sprague. He moves up the track. He saves it. Amazing save for Jack Sprague.
Coming hard here, coming outside.
What a save, but he's going to lose so much momentum.
Just got put into the wall by the 77 truck.
Brendan Gaughan getting pushed sideways down the tri-oval. That brings out our 4th caution.
We've got trucks flying down pit road.
But as long as they decrease their speed as they travel down pit road,
God, we don't want this thing.
You heard the dejection on Brendan Gaughan's. You heard his voice. He said, we could have won this thing.
He just didn't leave Ruderman any space. David was up on the outside of him. He tried to act like he wasn't even there as they exited turn 4. I was watching up in that area.
Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. Watch the 17 right here. He just squeezed him up in the wall. David looked like he just didn't have quite enough room. Made contact with the right rear corner of the 77 truck of Brendan Gaughan. Turned him into the wall. David Ruderman's going to have some damage with the 17 truck. You see a lot of damage on the 77 Orleans Dodge. Well, look at this save by Jack Sprague. He got completely sideways, drove down off the bank, and straightened it out.
That all happening just before coming out of turn 4, and you see the truck slamming into the wall as they came out of 4.
That didn't have anything to do with watch.
Oh. Watch him, atta baby, come on, easy back up on the track.
Well, Dennis Setzer went through the grass at about 170 miles an hour.
I don't think that had anything to do with Sprague getting sideways. It's just a result that David got up on the outside of Brendan, and Brendan acted like he wasn't even there, and there's only 3 laps to go. David's got to leave his foot in the gas.
Well, Jack wasn't up to speed, and he was coming off turn number 4, and he was moving up the racetrack, so Brendan might have caught a glimpse of him, and he was going to try to move up, not realizing that David was there to give himself a little bit more room. Unfortunate situation for those guys.
Well, Craftsman's always on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to the tool tonight. We want to spotlight another important piece of equipment that Craftsman makes available to all of us in our Craftsman Tool Tech.
You know, when the teams check in here at Daytona, they try to get by with as much as possible. But the problem is they have to go through NASCAR's inspection line. And when they do that, a lot of times they say you got to cut away this fender, you got to grind a little Bondo, whatever it takes. And the teams reach for this tool, Craftsman's 7.5 amp grinder. Now this thing operates at 10,000 RPMs and it's got plenty of power. What I like is it's got a metal gear casing, and that way it helps dissipate heat, and that makes the bearings last for a long time. The guys have been using these all weekend, and it's real easy to operate. You just flip this little paddle switch, you're on power, and you're going to work, baby.
NASCAR Day gives fans across the country an opportunity to show their support for the sport by donating to the NASCAR Foundation, which helps many worthwhile causes and charities. Fans everywhere are encouraged to donate $5 and receive a lapel pin. Now, this is a different one. They've changed all 3 years that this plan has been in place. May 19th is NASCAR Day, and those are the collectible lapel pins.
Well, a green-white checker to settle this baby. Had to figure that was going to happen, didn't you?
I think you did predict that to happen, Michael.
Well, it just gets too it just gets too crowded, and the stakes are too high. You look at Jack Sprague. Look at the save he made. He had that thing on the apron back up in the middle of the racetrack. Never lost a spot because they had a big crash right behind him.
Watch this now. He gets completely sideways, drives down off the bank. The thing wants to go back up the hill. He catches it. You have to react before the thing even does what it's going to do. When that truck was going back up the hill, you have to turn the thing back to the left, or else it would have turned right into the outside wall.
What you do, Phil, you make one crank at it, and you hold it for a couple of seconds. And then if nothing happens, you better be turning it the other way and straightening it up, because if you wait that extra second, it'll hook on you and take a right and hit the wall.
Ray Dunlap.
Mike Hillman Jr. is the crew chief for Todd Bodine, and you guys are going for the record book tonight, 4 in a row. But Mark Martin in front of you. What's your shot, or what do you think the chances are of Todd getting past him?
Man, you know, I wouldn't want anybody else but Todd Bodine driving that iRacing.com Toyota Tundra. So we're going to go give it a shot here. We come down here with the big picture, wanting to finish in the top 5. So as long as we finish this thing, we'll be happy. So we're going to try something maybe, though. We'll see.
Okay, good luck to you. That's Mike Jr., crew chief for Todd Bodine. Krista?
Down in the 6th pit with crew chief Mike Beam. And Mike, you're not exactly on the edge of your seat. Those Toyotas were coming with a head of steam. Is this caution a good thing, or is Mark nervous?
Well, I think that Eric's up there, so he's going to do whatever Mark does. You're definitely nervous, you know, but we just got to be careful not to get too far out on them where they get a run at us. But, you know, Mark Martin, he's so good anyway, and I'm proud of everybody. But we'll see. It's good for the fans, and, you know, it's been a great race.
Great race indeed. I think Mike Beam's starting to lose his voice. It's such a great race. Ray?
Hey, Krista, we had 9 green-white checkers in 2004 and 8 of them last year. Now, we've raced here at Daytona. This will be the 7th time, and we've had 2 other green-white checkers. This will be the 3rd. So tonight, you mark down green-white checkered race number 57. Tonight's race is number 268 of the series here for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And those other green-white checkers were run by Joe Ruttman and Rick Crawford.
You know, guys, we heard Ray interview Mike Hillman Jr., Todd Bodine's crew chief. He said, you know, we're looking at the big picture. We just want a top 5. Guys, this is Daytona. You don't, if you got a shot at a win here, you got to take it, don't you, Michael? You've won a couple Daytona 500.
You can't substitute what winning at Daytona means to a NASCAR driver. If Mike Hillman Jr. called Todd and said, okay, we just want a top 5, we're looking at the big picture, Todd would think his radio was messing up. He wouldn't be able to believe what he's hearing. He wants to win this race, and we're off for 2 laps of racing to see who can pull it off.
Mark Martin just in front of Todd Bodine, but will he be able to stay there? We've got Toyotas packed up behind Todd Bodine. A problem at the start-finish line. Spinning around, Rick Crawford. Actually, Crawford not involved in that. It's Ron Hornaday in the 33.
Caution is out. Keep digging.
Caution has come back out again.
They only give us 1 shot at a green and white checker. I would think that means
the race is over.
This race is over, and Mark Martin will win this race.
They're going to get the white and the caution this time by. Now, I think.
I believe you are correct, Michael. That was the one attempt at the green-white checker. We're hearing from NASCAR that is correct. This time by, Mark Martin will receive the white and the yellow together. And this race will
That sure made it a lot easier on us.
That was Mark Martin right there. That was an understatement.
I think I ought to give him a call and see what he thinks.
Let's find out.
Hey, Mark, it's Mike in the speed booth. It all worked out wonderfully.
Hey, I've messed this up before. This race isn't over yet, guys.
Okay, I'll help you through it. I watched you mess it up that day. You come by and get this flag, and now don't go into pits next time either. You got to get it one more time. All right, bud?
Hey, Michael, stay here with me and make sure I don't mess it up, pal. Hey, how about this Scott's Ford F-150? Man, she's spectacular. Kind of made it easy on me there at the end without having to fight for it.
Well, you were the man all night. You put that thing. I thought there was about 10 to go. You got shuffled back to about 10th or 11th, and here you and your teammate came up through the middle of them. How did it feel to see all those guys in front of you so late in the going?
Well, you know, that was just the truck was really fast. It didn't handle as good as I would like for it to, Michael, but I only practiced in it just a little bit. So, heck, when I got shuffled back, I had to hurry up and get back to the front. It handled the best out front. And I had some good help today. I really want to thank all the Ford drivers, you know, even Compton, even though he was a lap down, just everybody, Rick Crawford, and how about that rookie, Driver X?
Oh, Eric was on it, Mark. When you get to Victory Lane, don't tell Krista and them I talked to you, because I just couldn't wait. I had to hear what you had to say right at the heat of the moment. Congratulations. Stay on the track. I got to go. They're saying I got to quit. Don't go down pit road this time. Cross the start-finish line, and then go celebrate with your team. Congratulations.
Thanks, Michael.
What Mark was talking about at Bristol in a Busch race a number of years ago.
Line, buddy.
When they came down for the checker flag, he pulled down pit road, lost that race, gave it to David Green, driving for Bobby Labonte, and Mark said that was the dumbest thing he had ever done in his entire life.
He drove straight to Victory Lane, but it wasn't time to go there yet, Rick.
This isn't exactly the way Mark Martin wanted to win his second ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, but he's going to take it. As Mark Martin makes his way through the tri-oval, he will win the GM Flex Fuel 250.
Thanks, everybody.
That was voice of crew chief Mike Bean. Finally won a truck race.
Mark Martin has another victory in the Truck Series. Back in 1996, he won at North Wilkesboro. Krista.
Well, we just talked to Mike Beam a few moments ago, asked if you're nervous. I would imagine this feels a whole lot better than having to wait that one out.
Oh, yeah, because I knew that Todd and, you know, they're just such good racers. And like Mark said, that just made it a lot easier. But, you know, Chris, everybody's done such a good job, which I know everyone always says that, but I just got to really thank all these guys. And I've really been hard on this winter because, yeah, we're really building this team for 07 because we really plan on winning this championship. And Mark, you know, and really looking forward to running David. He's been just a real big team player, but Scott, just thank them for coming on board. But I just really, really appreciate everybody.
Well, you may have been hard on him, but your crew has been climbing the fence. They're so excited. And guys, Mike Beam's been suffering from the flu. Forget chicken soup, a Daytona win. That is the sure cure.
Carl Edwards won this race back in 2004. He was the first Roush driver to win at Daytona in a truck. Now Mark Martin makes it the second Roush driver to win at Daytona in a truck. He also adds to Jack Roush's winning total in the Truck Series, now up to 38 Truck Series wins for Jack Roush teams. That is leading this series.
We talked throughout the race that the Fords and the Toyotas were the trucks that you're going to have to beat tonight if you're going to win this race. The first 6 trucks were either Fords or Toyotas, with Mark Martin getting the victory in his F-150. Look at Jack!
Cat in the hat wanting to celebrate this one with his team.
You know, Jack gets a lot of wins. He's won Nextel Cup championships. He's won Busch championship, truck championships. But he's always happy. When one of his trucks or cars is in victory lane, he's a happy guy. Look at him pushing people out of the way so we can congratulate Mark Martin.
You know what? He's reaching in there right now and saying, hey, don't do a backflip. Oh, wait a minute. That's Carl Edwards that he tells that to.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about Mark doing a backflip. He may feel like doing a backflip.
Checkered flag in the hand of Mark Martin, kicking off the 2006 season with a victory. Again, this was on a restart. This was an attempt at a green-white checkered finish. And you look at the top of your screen, what takes place.
You can see that truck doesn't get going right off the bat, Rick, and it bunched everybody up. Usually about 5-6 trucks back from where there's a problem. Finally, they begin to stack up, and Ron Hornaday was just right there.
Here's what Bobby Hamilton saw. Remember, Bobby was a lap down. He starts going. He sees a truck get turned to the wall. That's the 33 of Ron Hornaday. The chain reaction got all the way back to Ron Hornaday. He got into the truck in front of him and turned him in the wall.
I still get Mike Beam.
This is Mark Martin's crew. They're not sure what's going on.
They're pointing at the accident.
See the accident in front. Then they realize, hey, we just won the race. I think.
Yeah, we won, right?
We won the race, right?
Are you sure? Are you sure we won the race?
Mark Martin celebrating with the crowd here at Daytona. Phenomenal crowd on hand to witness Mark Martin winning at Daytona. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. And now let's head down to Gatorade Victory Lane and Chris Devoto.
Well, it's been nearly a decade since Mark Martin won a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Of course, he's only made 2 starts since then. His last was in September of '96 at North Wilkesboro. This one may be even bigger than that. Mark Martin, a winner at Daytona. He starts off the 2006 season with a bang. Mark, a Daytona winner. How does that feel?
That feels pretty good. That's a good way to start off the weekend. That was a lot of fun, man. First of all, I want to thank all the Ford drivers out there. How about Driver X, Eric Darnell and Stacy Compton and Rick Crawford and all those guys. I knew we had our work cut out for us because we had that other brand out there that was pretty strong, and I knew those guys were going to stick together. I was really glad to see some help up there at the end. And Mike Beam and Roush Racing, you know, they did all the work. They deserve this, and I really want to thank Scotts for coming on board. I had to drive across the grass just a little bit because it's so pretty and green here, and I figured that went well.
And you know, speaking of a good feeling, how does that feel?
That feels good.
Well, good news for the competition. He's not running the whole season. Bad news, we're going to see him 6 more times, Ray.
Well, Krista, over here in pit road, Ashlyn Bodine sitting beside Todd, and he finished his second tonight. Great start to the season, but I'm curious, what's your position on green-white checkered rule?
Well, I don't know. There's so many opinions on it.
Would you not have rather had a shot to race Mark Martin under the green?
Yeah, right now, yeah. I mean, I think we had him. There's no doubt in my mind we had him. With my teammate behind me, I knew he wasn't going to hang me out. We would have won and finished. I would have won. Teddy would have been second. But this is our rules. We got to race by them. We got to abide by them. Mark's sitting in victory lane, and we're sitting here second with our Tundra. It was a great truck all night. I'm proud of my race team to get first or second and third tonight with Teddy and me, and proud of everybody at TRD. And of course, we got a new sponsor, iRacing.com. Hopefully, we can keep them for the rest of the year. It's a great company, John Henry and his boys, and you know, we just, it's the rules. You got to play by them. It's their ballpark and their ball. We got to just play their game.
All right, I say we get a petition going to change that rule, because I think it stinks that this race finished under yellow tonight for 100,000 people to not watch them race to the checkered.
Todd Bodine can't be disappointed, though. His second place finish, the 8th finish of first or second in the last 10 truck races. Mark Martin continuing to celebrate in Gatorade Victory Lane. Following us trackside live, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. are the guests. That's coming up next. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. Bob Dillner has caught up with Ted Musgrave.
Not a bad start for Ted Musgrave with his brand new team, but I bet you wish you could have had those 2 laps there.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what, you know, Mark got his Christmas present because we had a plan. But, you know, that's the way racing is, don't get me wrong, and I'm really happy for everybody here at Germain Racing, you know, and Team AC coming on board with me and sticking with me for this deal. You know, whole new team, whole new product, everybody's new. This is an awesome start, and I can't wait for California. The way this thing ran, next week, I'm going to be all smiles.
What was the plan, though? Because I know you and Todd, once you got by Mark, if you did get by him, then what was the plan?
Big mirrors. But we weren't going to, don't get me wrong, you just don't pass right away. With 2 laps to go, you know, it's the last lap deal where you just use the brakes real quick, let him shoot out, and then he's done. You know, then we come charging like a freight train and split. You know, either I'll push him, it depended on where we were. If Mark tried to block in the middle, we'd split both ways and make it 3 wide. But I was going to try to get Todd to win there, but, you know, like I say, Germain Racing is going to win a lot of races this year.
Looking strong, guys.
Hey, take a look at the unofficial results for this one. A Ford winning this one again. Only 2 manufacturers have ever won this race, Ford or Dodge.
Only one manufacturer other than Ford or Dodge in the top 10. Bobby Jr. in 7th there in his Dodge.
Great run by Eric Darnell, top 5 in his second ever Truck Series race.
Kevin Hamlin, Timothy Peters, part of that Bobby Hamilton Racing stable.
Dennis Setzer, the first Chevy, there in 13th in his flex fuel car truck. Excuse me.
Good run for Robert Richards, 17th in his first ride with that #1 truck.
Bobby Hamilton a lap down, the winner of this race a year ago.
What a disappointment for Kelly Sutton. Just with 10 or 12 laps to go, her engine went away. He ran in the top 15 all night long and winds up 29th.
All these drivers were involved in accidents. Mike Wallace had a great run going, finished 31st.
Mark Martin doing the hat dance, got the trophy in Gatorade Victory Lane. Mark Martin continues to celebrate, and another driver who should be celebrating with his 4th place finish is Mike Skinner. Bob Dillner has caught up with it.
Yeah, Mike Skinner was like a dog without a bone there at the end of that race, because you were battling 2 Roush trucks and 2 Germain trucks, and you didn't have many friends up there.
You know, having friends at this place with 1 lap to go doesn't do you a whole heck of a lot of good, but as bad as that Tundra was, I don't know that we needed any friends. I think we had the truck to beat. Obviously, we didn't win, but we had a good truck. I just want to thank Toyota and Valvoline and everybody that helps me and my race team. Man, they did an awesome job on pit road as usual. Bill Davis put us in a great truck, and we finished 4th. It's better than last year.
Exactly. Good start to the season for Mike Skinner.
9 different drivers were out in front tonight. 21 lead changes. Very exciting again for another Daytona race. Following us trackside with Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's coming up next.
You know, we had 2 different strategies. We had Bobby Hamilton's strategy, who was going to lay back. He had trouble. It didn't work. We had Mark Martin's strategy, who was going to try to lead the entire race. He ended up in victory lane.
It worked perfectly, but there was a lot of twists and turns along the way. We had wrecks on pit road, spins on the track, people trying to work it out. One guy looking like Joey Chitwood.
Eric Almirola getting airborne. But when it was all over the flag that Mark Martin really wanted to see the most was the checkered flag, and he got it. And congratulations from his owner. Mark Martin wins in Daytona.